Hello, race fans. Welcome back to One Hub Racing F1. Season 20 has arrived finally after a short break between season 19 and 20. We're here for Precision Tier pre-season race, and I'm your commentator, Peter Nyden. Joined with me is the one and only, the infamous, known as Indecisive Mac. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing very good. It's great to be back. How are you? And yeah, it's got to be weird saying Precision Tier. I'm used to saying Pinnacle, but that's still to come later on tonight, and I'm sure we'll have some good racing there. But yeah, it's great to be back after the break that we all needed, I think, and ready to get back to it. And let's see some fantastic action on the track.
Yeah, it is only pre-season testing, so I don't want to see too much argy-bargy, as there's no points on offer, but it gives us and everyone watching a clear idea of who's probably sandbagging, who's going to be championship favourites. I've made a few notes who I think are going to be drivers to watch for the season. 10 drivers have been given their confirmed seats for the season, and the remaining 10 drivers have either chosen a teammate or have got an opportunity to pick a team in this pre-season race. I'm not too sure how many drivers we're expecting, but hopefully more than we have in the lobby at the moment.
Yes, it would be hopefully more than 10, but I'm just trying to find out if there's any late withdrawals. I can't see any, so I'm pretty sure there'll be a few more joining at the last minute, because I think with these tiers they tend to like to sweat and time trial a little bit before they join the lobby, and pretty sure that would be, that's what we're waiting for, so...
Yeah, sounds about right. If you're wanting to fight for titles in, especially the top two tiers in one hub, you're going to have to be putting in the work outside of race time. But yeah, we've got a few drivers missing. I know a few are missing. I know ERT Thomas is unavailable to race. He will be in Mercedes, and he is partnered up with his ERT buddy of Arnaud. He's in the other Mercedes. These drivers have got some incredible stats over the course of a couple of seasons that they've raced. Thomas has raced in 5 seasons and Arnaud in 3, with only Thomas succeeding in getting a championship in season 18 in points tier. But now, has it removed points tier? Points tier is no more. It was here for 2 seasons, and now we're back to 4 tiers of racing.
Yeah, that Mercedes outfit is going to be quite the team to beat. It's very formidable, and I've seen Arnold over in the higher formulas in previous seasons, and he's always, on his day, he's probably one of the men to beat. It's just, of late, he hasn't had too many good days because of issues with the car or the game or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure with his new teammate, I'm sure they will crack on and give us a very good show for the rest of the season. And only one Mercedes today, as you mentioned. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how all the teams shape up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, lots of races to go. Championship is not won, not only in pre-season, but definitely not won in rounds 1 or 2. Long season ahead, many difficult tracks. Some drivers will probably be better at those tracks than others. So we could see a shape-up for the championship. I want to see at least 4 or 5 drivers competing for the championship towards the final couple of races, because it gets us excited, and it will get everyone watching excited as well.
It really does, and if you have 4 or 5 drivers that are capable of winning every week, and you have no idea who it's going to be on any given race day, then I'm sure we're going to have a memorable season.
Yeah, definitely. Some very experienced drivers in this lineup. Some not racing, but a few names that stand out. One driver who's not racing is... I need to find his name. It's Tuquazel. He's got a really interesting PSN name. It's X-_Tuquazel. But I'll call him Quay or Quays.
Yeah,
to make it short. Yeah. But he's got a total points collective in one hub of 1,272.5 points. So I would say he's the most experienced driver on the grid. 115 finishes, 103 of those have been in the points. He's got 8 wins, 46 podiums, 10 pole positions. 6 fastest laps. He's won 3 constructors championships over the course of 9 or 10 seasons. He's been here. He was here in one of the seasons pre-season 10. He came back in season 13. He's been in and out of precision and podium over the course of season 13 to 19. He's been improving. He finished P3 in season 14 in precision. In season 16 he was in podium and got P3 again. Season 17 he was P3 in precision. So he's been consistent. And then 18 he finally got P2 in precision. And then last season, season 19, he was P2 again. So he needs a run of luck to try and snatch that P1 this time. But yeah, he's one of the favourites I would choose for the championship, just because of his experience. And he's probably going to push himself that one extra further to go that one step higher and take a championship.
Yeah, you certainly kind of think if you got good stats like that, why can't you kick on and be a total tangent? I'm sure we'll see that over the course of the season. I know he is quick, but can he be consistently quick? And that's really the thing that we all look for now, is consistency and quickness, not one or the other.
Yeah, and that's a bit of advice I'd suggest to Arnaud as well. He's very quick. He's been in Pinnacle the past 3 seasons. Took the break from season 19 quite well for himself. He was getting a lot of frustration on track. He has the pace to compete for those wins, but it's that consistency that seems to be letting him down, maybe losing his head a bit too much. But yeah, as you mentioned, consistency is far superior than just raw pace. If you combine both, you're sure to succeed.
Yes, absolutely. But of course, to do that, there's no saying to finish first you have to finish. So there's a little bit of that going on as well. But we are about to get going with the qualifying session. I wonder what the weather's going to be.
I hope it's dry. Well, I don't know. Some races that are wet can be incredibly boring, but that's just because with it being tricky conditions, cars are taking things more cautiously and there's less overtaking. However, a bit of rain does no one no harm. It spices it up for us to watch. And I know Podium Tier had a full wet start and expected to dry. I saw you in Prospect had a full dry session, so could get a bit of both maybe.
We could. It did threaten to rain in Prospect earlier, but luckily we were able to be quick enough that it didn't happen. But the threat was closing in towards the end of the race anyway, and we do have, for what appears to be a very dry qualifying session. We'll deal with the race when we get there, but there are a few cars going out for their installation laps or to get used to the track, qualifying simulations.
Yeah, we're on board with the Red Bull of Kamke. Been in podium for the past 4 or 5 seasons. Finished 3rd in season 17 and finished 2nd in the championship in season 19. Got pipped by Speed Red Mat in that podium championship. He joined in season 14 and was in precision. So now makes his return after 5 seasons. And hopefully could be a dark horse in that Red Bull, trying to steal podiums, wins, any points that are available. He's very consistent, is Cam.
He is, you say that, and he's had 66 finishes here in one hub and 60 finishes in the points, so definitely knows how to finish and knows how to score points more often than not. And I'm sure he'll be looking to get this pre-season started with a top 5 position perhaps. I know it's a little bit misleading with only 10 at the moment, but I'm sure if a few more join during quali, I know a couple have had a little bit of internet issues and an update, but I'm sure once they join, there could be a race to be had.
They could indeed. 24 for Cam. Nice. Is that blue and pink helmet in the Red Bull? He's going to take us on our first flyer on the soft tyres around this incredible track of Imola. So down towards turn 1 and 2. Very tricky section of corners. You don't want to be touching those sausage curbs. As many people find out, you can lose the back end or even invalidate. Now coming to the end of Sector 1, this very fast 4 and 5, and sets to 24.5 in the first sector. I'm not so sure whether that's too quick or not, but purple nonetheless, and keeping it validated.
Yeah, it's always a key to keep it valid, especially in when you're trying to be quick. Oh, and he hasn't done that very long at all. I say that, and he's just dipped outside. And yes, that's easy to do. I've done it a few times earlier in Prospect. It's very, very tricky when you have a little bit of a slide on. It's harsh, but, you know, I guess it's the same for everyone. So he won't be the first across the line to set a lap. In fact, we will look at someone else. I'm going to go on board with Thomas in the McLaren. Feel free to find out who you want, but I'm going to stick on board with the McLaren because it just looks absolutely beautiful with that papaya. It's not orange, it's papaya and blue. It's a beautiful combination. Not entirely certain I agree with the way they've done the livery, but hey, I don't design them, I just look at them and criticise.
Yeah, everyone's allowed an opinion, and some can be over the top, some can be incredibly negative. Personally, as a McLaren fan, I do like this one. I'm not the biggest fan of the 2022 version, but yeah, Thomas to the line, sets a 14.8, first time on the board, and another driver I think has got the pace to be challenging. Although he doesn't have that many races here in One Hub, he has got an opportunity to snatch wins, podiums. He's a bit of a yo-yo driver as well since he started in season 17, been in and out of Pinnacle over the past 3 seasons, back down to Precision, and for the second time in his One Hub career, still yet to be fighting for a championship without a constructors as well. But 152 points in 3 seasons, I think is pretty decent for 28 finishes, 21 points finishes, and that includes a win and 3 podiums. Still the fastest time on the board, with ERT Arnold going second and Tech 31 in the Alpha on medium tyres, setting a 24.1. Must have been an installation lap because he's now invalidated his second run.
Yeah, that's always a shame to see that, but maybe some people just, I don't know, need a second lap to get their act together. But anyway, I'm just watching Scorpion as he's doing his lap, and I tend to get on board with him at exactly the same corner as Cow invalidated on his first lap. So hopefully, oh, that's way too early there, Scorpion. Now I've done it now.
Yeah, this commentator's curse is getting a little bit out of hand, and it's only pre-season. Every time we want them on board with a driver, they seem to invalidate. But track limits here are incredibly difficult if you want to get those tenths of a second out of every corner. Every tenth of a second is critical. As you can see, between Thomas and Arnaud, there's a tenth and a half between them. One mistake out of one corner makes up that difference.
Yes, it certainly does. But as I was going to mention, on board with Scorpion, while I'm still there, he's had 89 finishes and 83 finishes in the points here in One Hub. He has 2 wins. He has 19 podiums with 1 pole, 6 fastest laps, and 735 points scored with 3 constructors, and he's won Driver of the Day 5 times. So yeah, it's definitely consistency you see with Scorpion, and I'm sure he'll be there or thereabouts come the end of today. But how will he fare when there's a full grid? Oh well, I've done it again. Now he's in the
He's out. And he's out. He's out of the Grand Prix. That's not a good start for Scorpion here in qualifying.
It's not. I apologise sincerely. I'm going to look at the next driver, but I'm going to keep my eyes closed so I can't actually see what they're doing. I don't know if that helps at all, but...
Well, it could help, but I'd like to know who you're riding on board with for starters. We've got Sam, who's taken 2 laps out of these soft tyres already in the Haas. He's not confirmed yet in the Haas. ERT Jordan, who's not here, is the confirmed driver in the Haas. So maybe Sam showing Jordan what he could do, what he could bring forward to the table as he goes P1 with a 14.5, Sam. And yeah, Scorpion you mentioned, he's got quite a good track record as well in terms of championships. In season 16 for podium, he won the championship, and in season 19 he came second in Precision, and he's been in Precision since season 17. So Scorpion maybe just flicking out the sandbags, knowing that he's going to qualify inside the top 10 anyway. Maybe just try and start on fresh tyres. But a little mistake early on is easy to brush off with a long season ahead.
It certainly is, but if you're going to make mistakes 2-3 weeks in a row over the course of a season, I know it's 10 races, which is long enough, but if you make more than 2 or 3 mistakes in only 3 rounds, you're going to start to wonder what you're doing wrong, and then comes more mistakes, as we see Rich just bounce across the curves, but somehow he keeps it valid. So I think he must have lifted off enough and into the chicane, which I missed earlier a few times with brake issues. Purple through sector 2 there for Rich. That's who I'm on board with now. So I'm just checking out his stats while he's finishing off his lap. Seems to be a very tidy lap so far, and I'm not going to say anything more in case he validates coming around the final corner, but I don't think he has done, and it's just picked the line of least resistance to the line, and he goes in P4 for now.
That's good time from Rich. Bit of a window to slot between. 4 drivers in the 114s, the rest of competitive times are in the 15s. Cam K has selected the mediums. I know his best time is on softs, and Tech's best time is on mediums. Tech's got to do an improvement, got to find about 9 seconds, but it keeps invalidating his lap up on board with him again, and another red light on the track for another invalidation for him. Not going well so far.
No, but there's definitely chance for him to make his luck get a little bit better, but he might be trying too hard to get a lap in at the start. I know it happens sometimes, but yeah, I'm just very curious to see what people will be doing and what kind of times will we dip into the 13s perhaps. I don't know, but maybe not. But 14.5 for the opening few minutes of the session's pretty solid to me.
Yeah, I'd expect a 13. The reason being is because I think it was a 14.4 was pole in podium. I don't know, a 15.1 was pole in prospect. So we're getting ever so closer to that 1 minute 13. I'd expect a 13, especially in pinnacle. But prospect precision, I'd hope so, based on the quality of drivers we have in this lineup this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely capable of it, but they just can't seem to get a valid lap in. Tech is invalidated again there. It wasn't by much, but it's by enough for the game to say, stop now. Please sort yourself out. Get a lap in, son. And he's had a little bit of understeer there as he tries to make it to the chicane, and luckily he kept it down the wall, so I'm sure he'll just compose himself, maybe go back to the pits, put on a fresh set of softs, as Casper goes quickest there with a 14.557, which is a little bit quicker than Sam, but there's still ways to go in this session, as we have just under 8 minutes remaining.
Yeah, teammates Tech and Casper, they are confirmed. Casper was confirmed as lead driver. Well, I say lead. I'll let them decide who wants to be number 1, number 2. As Tomo now gets into the 14.5s, that's 3 drivers within a tenth of a second. And oh boy, this is sizing up to be an excellent season if qualifying keeps going like this.
Yeah, certainly. It's you never really know where to look, and when we've got a lot of people fighting for pole position, which, you know, I'm sure will be an entertaining battle when we get there, but Cam's out on track on the mediums. I think...
Oh, I've just seen someone in the wall. That is Arnaud in the wall, in the Mercedes, coming out of this final chicane towards the final sector. No front wing on that Mercedes, pushing extremely hard to try and find that 4/10 to get himself into the front row. No front wing, got to let the Alpine and the Alfa Romeo through. But,
Yep. That's of course knowing where the safe bits of every track are, knowing how to let people safely through. If you've made a mistake or you've had an incident and you have missing bodywork, you just pull off the racing line, and hopefully drivers will see you and make it through nice and smoothly. But Cam's invalidated on the mediums, which I'm fairly sure he won't be too bothered about. I think he's just doing the you will need to run the mediums in the race. Hards are probably not preferable, but that is another option you could do. But I think it's 2 softs and a medium in any order is probably the preferred strategy for a lot of these drivers today, unless you have some insight as to why I'm talking rubbish.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. It's a very low deg track, Imola. Luckily with One Hub we have the mandatory 2-stop in place. Otherwise you might just get a boring soft and medium. That opens up strategy a lot more for these drivers. They can either they can stay out and wait for a safety car and get a shorter pit stop, or they can go for an undercut and jump any other drivers ahead, putting for fresher tyres. Dex is saying Arnaud's been sick a few days and not his best, so Arnaud's struggling with a little bit of an illness. Unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can get better by the time the season starts, as he's looking as one of the favourites, I would say. After being in Pinnacle for 3 seasons, gets an opportunity here in precision now, and hopefully he can show that he's worthy of that Mercedes seat.
Yes, certainly. I thought hopefully he does get better for the next season, because he's going to need to be 110% in Japan. It is a very, very technical track, which is going to bite hard, or even harder than this track. But yeah, to even show up at all when you're not feeling 100% is just what we're about here at One Hub. And I think Cam might have improved on the mediums there, unless he slowed down before the line. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's interesting. Let me just check that. Yeah, he did improve on the mediums.
So probably wasn't feeling the soft tyre, the best tyre to start on. Sam had a little bit of an incident coming out of that uphill right-hander that has in the wall, and that's his session over. 14.5 though is good enough for second row. A lot of time to be fine from a couple of drivers, but I think that time from Sam is going to see him at least start in the top 5 based on all the lap times set on by drivers on soft tyres. I think White Fountain's probably sandbagging's got a great history. There's White Fountain in that AlphaTauri. He's got 2 championships under his name, 1 in precision, 1 in podium. 84 finishes for One Hub, 66 of them being in the points. 21 wins to his name, with 35 podiums, 17 pole positions, 8 fastest laps, coming up to closing towards that 1,000-point mark for total points. 3 constructors in his names, 8 drivers of the days, and as I said, 2 championships, 1 in season 14 and 1 in season 17. And he's been stuck in precision since that championship and hasn't been able to get a top 3 as of yet. Could be his season, but I feel like this season could be a really close one.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong there. But yeah, it's closing on 1,000 points. I'm sure that will be playing on his mind a little bit, and I'm sure he's as got a good a chance as anybody, especially with the stats you've just provided there. That is quite the haul. But I'm also looking at Tech, who's no surprise invalidated, but he'd already done that before I went on board with him. I was just looking at his stats, and I don't know if you've covered them, but he's had 127 points here in One Hub with 17 points finishes out of 18 total finishes. So again, this tier's got a lot of people that know how to finish, so that is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, and you only get points for finishing in the top 10. Oh, is it top 12? Top 12, I think.
Top 12.
Yeah, top 12. I should know that. I've been commentating twice, 2 years already,
right.
Or 2 seasons. But yeah, top 12 points. So 17 out of 18 is pretty good. But as you said, a points haul of 127 averages him out about 8 or 9 points finish, which isn't too bad. So the point system's a little bit different here in One Hub as well. 3 podiums and 3 pole positions. So he has potential to snatch a pole position, front row start, and even get a podium as well.
Yep, definitely. It's all about the potential, and I'm pretty sure all these drivers here today and those that are possibly watching just to wonder what they're missing out on, just to try and get a grip of their potential competition for the season ahead, starting next week. I'm sure they'll all be thinking that this could be my season, and I'd love to see it happen for all of these drivers, but unfortunately we can't have 20 people win the championship.
No, it'd be good, wouldn't it? Somehow all 20 drivers are fighting for the championship at the end. I think that'd create absolute carnage for the finale if there was more than 10 people still in the fight for a championship. But it could it's possible to happen, because it just as long as every race has a different finisher in each order and just keeps the points. There's no one driver that storms away getting victory after victory or podium after podium. It's going to be a very fascinating season. Rich 500 made an improvement on the softs into the 14s, made about 5/10 improvement, overtakes Arnaud now, knocks him off the second row, and Arnaud on an invalidated lap as well. So a lot of drivers continuing to push the track limits and not getting away with it.
Nope, certainly not getting away with it, and there's only 25 seconds or so to go, and Arnold's just decided he's probably just going to recover back to the pits, get nicely out of the way for everyone, and that's what you like to see. Even when you're not feeling 100%, he's still one of the most aware drivers you could have out there. Very safe pair of hands is Arnold, Looking forward to seeing what he can do later on, but I think that's probably session over with. And I'm on board with Lukey in the Williams. I'm not used to that. I'm used to seeing him in a McLaren or something like that. But Thomas, there you go, 14.4. It's certainly getting a little bit down there, but can Lukey do anything about it? If he found a second, he'd still be in P2. So, yeah, he needs to be just over a second. Let's see what he's doing as he goes across the line now. He's put it into P4, 14.6. Not bad at all. But can anybody beat that and knock him further down?
Very good time from the Williams driver. And, yeah, it's getting nice and close at the top. A lot more drivers are getting into the 114s. Arnold, as you mentioned, is now retired from the session. Will start no higher than 6th. Two Alphas looked like they were trying to trade Slipstream to try and get Tech further up the field. Currently a 15.2. He's going to be the next driver to cross the line. Checker flag is out, and 3 drivers have already ended the session on the checkered flag. We're waiting for Tech 3-1 Racing. He was teammates with Kieran, who unfortunately is not racing tonight. Last season in podium tier, and now up in prospect. He sets the benchmark of a 14.4, knocks Tomo off provisional pole, and I believe that is the end of the session. Because Tomo's on a cool down in lap. White Fountain has entered the pits, and everyone else has taken check and flag.
That is that. So it won't count for the overall season standings, but good to get a pole position under your belt in the pre-season. But that is Tech going to be starting from P1 unless people have penalties we haven't seen in the race director.
Yeah, everyone's keeping it nice and clean in qualifying. Nobody hitting each other inappropriately. Getting each other 5 position drops. It tends to happen if people come together towards the pit lane or blocking in the pit lane. That's when you see people getting position drops. But clean so far. 10 drivers starting. Hopefully 10 finish. 32 laps lie ahead for all 10. Scorpion will want to look to make at least lap 1, having failed to set a time.
Yeah, it happens fast and furious in this tier, especially around this track. But there is your classified top 10 for today. 47 thousandths between the top 2, just over a tenth or just under a tenth and a half for the top 3, and then a little bit of a gap between everyone under that. But that's to be expected in the preseason. Everyone's not 100% comfortable with the track or the car or whatever, and as we know, Arnold's still suffering from illness, so I'm sure come next week he'll be closer to pole position than he is today.
Yeah, everyone inside the top 10 will start on these tyres. Probably a very strategic call from Cam. He's going to be the only one on mediums unless Scorpion chooses mediums for the first stint. I haven't been informed of any weather changes in the chat, so as far as I'm aware, it's going to stay dry for the entire race. 2 stop, you mentioned soft, medium, soft would be the best strategy. Would you say an early pit stop, or would you stick it out and try and stretch each stint?
I think it would depend on if there's an early safety car for anything, but I'm not expecting one of those with a 10-car grid. But I think if you're at the back, it's worth trying something different, but I think everyone's going to stick with what they got. Unless, of course, there is a mental safety car, in which case I'm sure everyone will be in anyway, so that makes it a moot point. But yeah, definitely, whatever you start with, go as long as you can, and just try and be as smooth as possible, and that should see you get to your desired pit lap as smooth as possible. But yeah, about to go off on the formation lap, so it's going to be interesting to find out if Scorpion did indeed go with the softs or the mediums. Let's find out. He did not.
Yeah, keeping it aggressive. So Cam, the only driver on mediums. Alfa Romeo putting together a good showing. Could be a threat for the constructors. Both drivers starting first and third, but we've only got half a grid here. Plenty of other drivers could separate those two, could maybe even snatch pole position. We wouldn't know. They're not here. These drivers are here, and they're giving us a show for pre-season. Gives us an idea, a better idea, rather than just looking at stats and paper. We can get a physical view of what drivers are capable of, who's going to be the threats, which teams are going to be fighting for the constructors, and which drivers are going to be fighting for that title of Season 20 Precision Tier Champion. Just a quick one before we get underway to mention our sponsors of Next Level Racing sponsors the league by providing prizes. And Pure Sim Gear, who sponsors the league by providing a pair of sim racing gloves to driver with the most combined poles and fastest laps. And not forgetting our partners of Vespertine, who support our championship prizes. ERT with their Going Get Stuff award, and SimGrid, who run the One Hub seasons through the community and platform.
Yeah, just one of those few changes we've had in the off season. So thanks to those sponsors as always. Thanks for their work, and welcome SimGrid, who I'm led to believe is a lot better than the old system we used to have. I think it's just smoother for a lot of the drivers to follow. So that's great that we're partnered with them, and I think as it stood, we were the first league to sign up on the F1 side of things there. So, well, welcome to them and welcome to the team, everybody, as we are now about to go racing as they're re-approaching the grid. Although Tech has got to be waiting quite a long time. He's sort of had a bit of a... Yeah, people have had a little bit of a coming together, I think, in latter stages, and everyone's back on the grid almost. So, yeah, definitely let's see what happens.
Yeah, Cam K is not going to like that. Starting on the medium tyres, they're going to be really cold. May lose the position to Scorpion. But we're going to wait for the 5 red lights. 10 drivers on the grid, expecting 10 finishers. Long run down towards turn 1 for pre-season here in Precision Tier. It's lights out and away we go. Good start from both Alfa Romeos. Really bogged down for the McLaren. Might lose 3 or 4 positions as we head towards turn 1. It's Alfa Romeo 1-2, but there's a bit of debris being flown further behind us. Luke gets up to 3rd in the Williams. Tomo back down to 4th. Sam's dropped a few positions into 5th. Everyone else seems to have kept it nice and clean. Cam K, with those cold tyres, is going side by side with White Fountain at the back. But nice and clean. I don't think anyone's picked up any damage. Luke and Tom are going side by side as well. But line astern up the hill at the end of Sector 1.
Yep, it's pretty much as they were at the start. There's a couple of shades of positions, but that was a great move from Lukey to turn 1. He came quite a long way back and just had the confidence and the grip of those soft tyres to run it around the inside, and is up into P3 from his start position, so that's a great start for him. And as you say, the McLaren just went a little bit backwards, but yeah, the Alphas had a great start as well, and they look a very strong team. But as you say earlier, I think they're the only team here that have both drivers, so I'm sure that next week when I say most of the drivers will be here, I hope it all of them, it's going to be quite a fantastic race to see who has the most strong driver pairing in each team, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. But we have some great racing today, as they have Rich and Cam, who's now up to 8th. He's recovered after that slightly slow start somewhat, and they are fighting into turn 1, but it's as you were. Cam is still in P8, just behind Rich, who's just ahead of Scorpion and White Fountain at the back, bringing up the rear in P10 for now.
Yeah, White Fountain really on the gearbox of Scorpion. Lost a couple of positions as Fountain. Cam K already picked up a 3-second time penalty on that first lap. Really struggling with track limits is Cam K, but if he can keep his nose clean for the rest of the race, maybe allow the other drivers to pick up the penalties, and he can then pick up the positions if other drivers get more penalties. But Arnold's fallen away a little bit. Top 5 have started to pull away. Arnold's out of DRS. Only one DRS zone on this track down the start finish towards turn 1 and 2. I would expect a DRS to be up towards the final sector chicane as a little straight, but only one on this classic track, and that's where most of the overtaking will be. And we could see a change for the lead between the two Alphas. Casper in the slipstream of his teammate, going to have the inside down towards turn 1. Will he leave the space? Yeah, backs out. There's Tech. Casper's through, but will he get pounced on with a poor exit by Lukey behind? It's got Tomo on the inside as they head towards turn 4, and that's Tomo back up to the podium positions ahead of the Williams of Lukey.
Yeah, how's all that just happened? I thought Tech may lose a couple of positions after that. He got very much on the grass, so I thought he may just tumble down the order, but he managed to just keep enough of the car on the track to get a good getaway after the slightly poor exit. And Lukey's just got mugged down into the corner there. I'm not really sure if he could have done anything different, but he's still in the hunt. As you can see, Sam is now right on, well, he was right on the gearbox of Lukey, and the Competizione Corsa struck again as Cam has just made a position as Arnold has had a bit of a spin there. I don't think he's got any damage. I don't see any, but it's a very hard... Fountain's gone off in sympathy as well, I think, but it's all going off here. There's only 10 cars. Who needs a full grid?
Yeah, and there's wing damage on White Fountain, right end plate. Just beware, there's no TAS this week either. That will be coming back for the new season as well. Keep all of you updated on everything happening in the cockpit, tyres, fuel, all the information we need to bring a fantastic race. As Cam K now going side by side, has got the move done on Rich, up to 6th already, and the top 5 or top 4 seem to be pulling away, and a little bit of a midfield scrap happening for 6th, 7th and 8th.
Yeah, and while you were watching Cam go side by side with Rich there, you also had Lukey and Tomo go... no, wait. Yeah, it was Lukey going side by side. With Tomo and Tech, but I think it's as you were, but there could have very easily been another change of positions into turn 1 slightly before then, and Sam's got a little bit wild in the exit there behind Lukey, so I think he's just going to take a couple of moments as there's a yellow flag for the stricken, is it Scorpion again? Yes it is. It's having a bit of a miserable time at the moment, but the yellow flags are now cleared as the cars at the back are just all over the place, really. I think it's just this track, once you make one mistake, I think you're always on edge. And I think you start to overcorrect if you feel slight differences when sometimes you don't need to. I know I did earlier in Prospect. It just felt like I needed to, and then turns out I didn't. But anyway, these drivers know what they're doing out there, and I'm sure there's... a lot of reasons for that, but I think maybe just struggling for grip, maybe they might consider an early pit stop if they haven't already been in. I know White Fountain has for damage, as you say, but Scorpion and Arnold may just choose to stay out there and see what they can do, but that one of them might come in early just to change strategy, as the mediums seem to be working for Cam just at the moment.
They are indeed. He's on a charge. Lost the position to Rich in the latter stages of this lap. Got the move done up the inside turn 1 and 2. But I noticed Tomo made a position on Tech as well. Oh, nice slide from Cam as Rich one's wide. That everyone seems to be really struggling with that off-camber uphill right-hander ending sector 2. It is a really difficult corner, especially if you're running no traction as well. You want to be really careful on the throttle. Cam's got to be careful on these medium tyres as well. Doesn't really want to burn them out too much. He's going to be flying in the final 2 stints on 2 sets of softs. But at the moment, no safety car. Hard tyres for White Fountain on his first pit stop of the race. I'm not sure why he's decided to go for hards. Maybe the game has screwed him over. The game tends to do that when it comes to strategy. If you come in a little bit early compared to what your strategy says, it might switch tyres in the MFD. And that could be an issue for White Fountain. But as I said, it's only pre-season. Get all the bad luck out the way in this race and get fighting for those points paying positions when we come to Japan next week.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, as you say, that the for some reason the game likes to mess with you if you have to pit earlier. I mean, sometimes you don't need to change it because it realizes that you want like certain tires, but I always like to get in the habit of doing it on my first stint just to set specific tyre. White Fountain's had enough already on the hard tyres. Yeah, maybe he's lost it with the rears, or I don't know exactly what happened there. I don't know where he's parked it, but yeah, it looks very... Oh, there he is, his final corner. Yeah, that's happened. Yeah, he's lost traction from the rears, I think, as he's clipped the curb, and everyone, I think it's probably a full course safety car, and everyone will be in for new tyres anyway, and that's, in a weird way, that's worked out for Arnold.
It has. It's going to close him back up. Casper, however, did speed into the pit lane. I noticed Evil Dragon complaining about game sound. I'm just going to change that in my settings. It's party settings. I have it better for so people can hear us clearer. It might be a little bit too quiet, but
Scorpion's just sped in the pit lane.
That's not going to help him. But
no, it's. I was looking at the wrong car. I thought Arnold would have caught up, but of course, safety car speed meant he probably wouldn't be able to push as much as he would have liked. So he's definitely going to be right back with the pack again. If not, he's not going to be in P9. Well, P8. Sorry. He's certainly one of the 3 drivers to yet get a penalty. So it's definitely there for Arnold later on in the race. Everyone has at least a 3-second penalty to 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. So it's certainly, apparently the sound is good now as well. So that's what we like to hear. No pun intended.
Yeah, thank you, Dex, for confirming in chat as well. And thank you, Indecisive, for keeping it. I assume you've got the chat open as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. It's nice to see this new feature that on the PlayStation 5. I say the word PlayStation now with the new voiceover thing, it really screws it over.
Oh yes.
Yeah, speeding in the pit lane for Scorpion, speeding in the pit lane for Casper. Casper was leading. He had no reason to really speed in the pit lane. He was always going to be first one in, I think, and has just cost himself at 5 seconds for his next pit stop.
Yeah. I think he's going to want to hope for another safety car later on, although down to 9 cars, I think that's going to be a slightly tall order, but it would definitely help mitigate that. Unless he's going to take it now, that's quite a clever move. He's done it again!
Oh, Casper, come on, man.
What are you doing, man? He's gone in to get rid of the 5-second penalty and only picked himself up another one. It's like a 2-for-1 special. What are you doing?
The thing is, I was going to expect him to box because he would have been the only driver on hard tyres. So I was expecting him to box anyway, to switch to mediums. He does the dummy, comes into the pits, and just speeds again. So, if anything, he's just lost 9 positions for no reason, but he's now on the same tyres as everyone around him.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it's quite a clever thing to serve your penalty under a safety car because it doesn't really matter. You're not going to lose as much. But then to, as you say, speed into the pit lane for a second time, it's just careless, frankly. But there's a long way to go. We're only on lap 8 of 32 here at Imola, and I'm sure if anyone can... oh dear. If anyone can send me a spare voice through the mail, that would be great. But
yeah.
If anyone could come back from the back, then I'm sure Casper's can.
Yeah, he showed some pace so far, and people have been making mistakes, especially up this hill here towards the chicane. A lot of drivers losing the back end, so you could pick up the pieces. But yeah, getting these early mistakes out of the way. As Lukey, he's doing the Max Verstappen tactic of just going side by side with Tomo, getting him a little bit nervous. I don't like on the safety cars people driving really close, because all it takes is for a little bit of lag or a little bit of a driver in front to slow down and there could be a collision. I know they fixed the 5-second penalties for collisions now. It used to be smallest of contact, both people slap with 5 seconds, but I'm sure now even the smallest of contact, no one gets penalised. It's only if it's a heavy one. Rich in the pit lane again, and Casper in the pit lane again. I'm not surprised Casper's coming again. He was at the back, and now he doesn't speed into the pit lane. He's going to go on to another set of medium tyres, I'd hope. Yes, he will.
Yeah.
And Rich is on hard tyres. So Rich has completed his 2 stops. He will be going to the end on those hards. Hopefully for his sake, there isn't another safety car. Casper, technically, he's done both his stops and more, and could go to the end on these mediums. I'm not quite sure on the tyre life of the mediums compared to the softs, but if there's another safety car, which there could be. There's still plenty of cars for there to be incidents, but we don't want to see incidents. We want to see nice, clean, fair racing.
Well, that we do. But I think with a couple of safety car laps, I think you could probably get to the end on the mediums, as there's just no long going into the tyres as there would be at full racing speed straight away. So I think it was worth trying to put on a second set of mediums now and hope that you can get to the end, because I'm sure that the tyres would do that. Of course, by the end, they would be a little bit uncomfortable, but safety car in this lap, as we can see on race control, so everyone's going to do their final preparations before they get going again. And when will Thomas go? He's dropping all the time from the safety car as that just meanders off to do the shopping while he has a moment. I'm pretty sure he's going to just remember to bring the milk. But Lucy and Thomas is just going to pick their perfect moment to go. Is it going to be now? Yes, it looks like it is. Once you go, you can't stop, of course, and it doesn't look like anyone's done that, but a great restart for Lukey. I think he's going to get Thomas into turn one. Perhaps he's had a slightly better restart, but Sam has a perfect view of this. Into turn one, Lukey and Thomas side by side, and Lukey gets the move done, keeps it on the track. That's a great move, son.
Yeah, and kept it nice and defensive on the second part of the chicane to hold off the switchback from the McLaren driver of Thomas. Sam getting involved, runs wide, picks up a penalty for himself, as on the outside, Tech 31 Racing trying to go around the outside of turn 7, and Kamke not too far behind on his second set of mediums. Everyone inside the top 7 has got to make their one more stop. Everyone else, Casper and Rich, could go to the end. Casper already up one position on that restart, but I don't think the only change for position has been between the leaders as they start to get a little bit loose up the hill at the end of Sector 2.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. It's a very tricky section, and it's just, I don't know why it is, but everyone seems to be struggling now, especially, as you say earlier, with running no traction. It's definitely going to be a harder challenge than some will find it this week. But yeah, it's shaping up to be a quality race, this, even though there's minimal cars out there. It's quality over quantity, I guess. And the people at home must be thinking, I could have some of this next week in Japan, and let's hope they are, because that will be frankly brilliant to see people racing in Japan. Although it's going to be a slightly different race. I think Luke is able to defend his position into turns 1 and 2 there, but he's going to be vulnerable into the next couple of corners, and he takes the defensive line, and yep, he can take his position back. And of course there's no way through there for Thomas, but he's a little bit of a tap from behind, but I think he's okay. I didn't see any debut flying off, but that's of course opened up him now being weak to attack from Sam and possibly Tech, who was last a couple of moments ago after a brain-dead performance into the pit lane where he sped on consecutive laps. But he's right back in this, and he could well win still. Yeah,
Casper up to 7th as well. Both Alfa Romeos running pretty well, but yeah, very great defensive driving from Lukey here, showing his experience on track, as Arnold now picks up a 3-second time penalty, slowly running out of drivers to not pick up a penalty. Hopefully we can get one person that can keep it within the track limits, but if you're trying to push to the limit, there's always an opportunity that you run a little bit wide over the white line and get a warning. 3 warnings is a 3-second time penalty. But here we go again for round 3 between Thomas and Lukey, down towards turn 1. Defensive for Lukey. Again, is going to have to force Thomas to go around the outside. Positions his car beautifully in that Williams and holds on to P1 yet again. The only DRS zone on the track, and Lukey seems to have the straight line speed to hold off the charging McLaren and the Haas and essentially everyone else behind as well. There's a nice train from P1 to P7.
There is, and if he can do this the next 20 laps, it's going to be a fantastic race to watch back later. But for now, he's got a job to do. I'm sure he won't be thinking of that. He just seems to know where the advantage is going into the braking zone, into turns 1 and 2. And as you say, 3 laps in a row, he's been able to defend the position. But I think we're going to have the driver behind needs to try something different, just to try and keep him a little bit off guard and maybe just try and catch him out a little bit. As you saw in real life F1, Verstappen went down the inside of the baseball stadium section in Mexico. No one overtakes there apart from Max Verstappen, so hopefully Tomo can think of somewhere to go around this track. I know it's not easy. There's not many overtaking positions, but here we go again. The DRS is now open, and he's got a much better drive this time. I'm surely he's going to get through this time.
Yeah, he's going to take the outside again. Lukey tries to go defensive, but the overspeed with the DRS, he was using overtake as well, was the McLaren driver, and gets the position back. Took him a couple of laps to regain it. Took Lukey one job done into turn 1 without DRS to get the lead, but DRS has been effective for Thomas to retake the lead for the McLaren. Sam was sitting comfortably behind, watching this battle unfold, maybe hoping for a little bit of mistake between the two so he could capitalise. But yeah, Tech 31 picked up a 3-second time penalty last race on the exit of the final sector chicane. So far, he seems to be the one struggling the most with track limits, as he is. Him and Sam have already picked up 6 seconds worth of penalties as Sam runs wide, cuts the corner, coming up the hill towards the chicane. Oh, loses the back end from the Haas driver, runs wide again, going to leave the door open for Tech if he can get a better exit, but he's going to lose DRS. Is Sam. He's going to be out of the battle for the P1 and P2, and is now going to have to play the defensive game on the Alfa Romeo behind, heading down towards turn 1. But there could be a change of the lead yet again between Thomas and Lukey.
Yeah, cool, but I'm just watching Cam as well. He's definitely in the battle for the podium positions as well. Lukey's a little bit too far back, I think, to try anything into turn 1. It's going to have to be very late, but I think Thomas got just enough. But can Cam get through into P3 or P4? No, but there is a change of position between Tech and Sam.
Yeah, I was on board with that, just as we were aware that there wasn't going to be a change for the lead. They're still going to go side by side. Sam just about backs out. Cam almost running into the back of them. Goes wide and picks up his second time penalty of the race. He's done pretty well to keep it within the limits for the... Oh, and the Haas of Sam is in the wall. Will that bring out a second safety car of this race? A loss of traction. Yes, it is. Second safety car.
Yeah, in a way that's going to nullify any potential late-minute overtakes, or unless people want to try a 3-stopper, which isn't too bad. I mean, I think pretty much everyone in Prospect early did a 3-stopper. But it just gives an extra opportunity for drivers to have a little bit of a mental break. It's been very hectic in the opening first 14 or so laps, and there's definitely quite a few chances of overtakes done, but I think if you can have a couple of laps where you can just focus on just keeping the car, you know you're going to be in front, and now let's see how many people do pit and what are they going to put on. That's the question.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. The drivers who haven't already made their second stop are pitting. You can, I'd say, go on mediums to the end. We're hitting towards that 50% race. We're going to get 50% of the race. We're going to get at least 2 laps of safety car running, as Scorpions very far behind. Excuse me. But yeah, 5 drivers making their second and final pit stop. Casper had already made 2. 3, because he made a mistake coming to the pits yet again. But he now sits net P1. Cam K has got to make another stop. He's now in the race lead. He's going to control the restart. Thomas holds off Lukey for second and third. Tech Racing still behind. And Arnaud in this battle as well, keeping his head nice and cool, keeping away from the carnage and picking up the pieces so far.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point there. You just keep your head cool, keep your head down, and just do what you can do. And as Sam was put in the chat, he was pushing too hard, which understandable given what was going on. I think sometimes you don't know when you push too hard until you think, oh, that's enough grip. But yeah, Cam is in a very intriguing position. He's going to be on the track in the lead, but of course he does have another stop to make. But I understand why he didn't, because his only other opportunity would be hard, and that's probably not what he wants to be on. So I think he's going to have to hope for controlling the pace so much that people behind sort of maybe, I wouldn't say he's doing this, but tangle over each other a little bit, cause a little bit of damage, and perhaps he can just get away at the front, and then when he puts the softs on, he can definitely catch back up later on in the race. But Scorpion is struggling to catch the back of the pack. I'm not sure if the safety car is going to I think they're going to have one more lap because he's nowhere near. But I've been in races where people in this position have just been cast adrift. The safety car's right. Nope, I'm going in now. Bored. You figure it out later. But yeah, I'm not sure how many more laps on the safety car we're going to get, but there's definitely quite a lot still to play for today here in the precision tier.
Yes, who wants to be the one to show everyone that they're a threat for the championship? I'd say all of them could be a threat for the championship. You mentioned Cam not wanting to choose the hard tyres. They are half a second a lap slower than the medium, so quite a right choice not to be going on the hards. All it takes realistically is for another safety car to come out from someone else, from someone's mistake, whether it would be under traction, as we saw for Sam and White Fountain as well, who's suffered under traction, I think, on the curb. But yeah, the difference between tyres between the mediums and the softs is about a second a lap. And if these guys are going to be battling, catching in traffic, Cam K is going to be on fresh softs and could easily catch up to them, even though it is a very long pit stop here.
Yes, it is, and of course you could never discount that maybe you might get a virtual safety car later on. In about 10 laps, if there's one of those, Cam's in a great position. He could whack on the soft tyres and people won't be able to push and overtake him, and he could well be a threat for this win still, as a safety car is in this lap. Scorpion managed to catch up in the end, but let's see when Cam decides to go for the restart.
Yeah, can he get a better one that Thomas did, because Luki was all over him. Casper's pulling that tactic, Max Verstappen-esque, running alongside, and Cam K gets the better launch compared to Casper down the run down towards turn 1 on this restart, lap 17. Luki getting the guns on Thomas as they go side by side down towards turn 1. Luki will have the inside later on the brakes. Almost collect each other, but Luki gets the position back for Thomas, and these two are going to be having a hell of a fight for the rest of this Grand Prix, I find. Don't discount Tech 3-1 Racing and Arnold behind. They're drivers to watch out for that could snag a podium at the end of this.
Yes, definitely they are, but that was a great restart for Cam. He wasn't falling for any of these Verstappen-esque qualities behind from Casper, and if anything, he had the slightly better restart, despite the fact that Casper appeared at one point to be odds-on favourites for the position into turn 1, but Cam held his nerve, picked his moment, and went when he felt comfortable, which is what you have to do as the de facto safety car for the final few yards, I suppose. But that was a great restart from all involved, and Luki and Tom are definitely going to be fighting for the rest of this race, probably, and that is fantastic to see, even in the pre-season, that these drivers are up for it.
Yeah. Proven as well that not all racing can be bad. They keep it nice and clean and puts on a fantastic show and delivers for the viewers watching back at home and anyone who wants to watch it when it gets re-uploaded onto YouTube after. But don't forget, Pinnacle Tier is still to come. That'll be live streamed on YouTube. Kick off at 8:30, so it should be live right now. But side by side again between Luki and Thomas into turn 4, and Luki seems to have the measure of Thomas in the first sector as Tech tries to go all the way around the outside. I don't think you're going to get it done there, Sunshine. I think Thomas too much of an experienced driver to let you have that one. Not experienced in one hub, but he's got the experience of the game and driving side by side, and knows he's not going to get mugged off that easily there.
Yep, that's definitely a good point you make there. And I thought for a moment Luki was going to be vulnerable because he had a massive slide coming out of the previous corner, but somehow he managed to keep the position ahead of Thomas, which was pleasing to see, that even when the car's not cooperating, much like my words tonight, I need to install language.exe, thanks. Luki's just in control right now, although he's in P3 at the moment, but I would reckon he's probably the man to win this race if everything keeps going the way it's going. DRS is re-enabled, and let's see, can Casper do anything with it the next time around?
Yeah, I think the same will be said for Thomas on Luki. Luki's just about keeping within 1 second of Casper, but being within 1 second now is not good enough because there's no DRS activation points between here and the final corner That's when you want to be within 1 second of the driver ahead, and that's when you'll get DRS. It seems to me that Luki's picked up the pace in this first sector. He seems to be really strong first sector, and I think Thomas has the final sector, and comparing the two of them at this track.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very, very fine margin battle coming down to it at the end, and that's a little bit of a slide from Thomas as he got a little bit too close to Luki and managed to avoid contact, and you're into the tricky chicane now. After that moment, you possibly won't be feeling as confident as you were a lap or so ago, but these guys are making it look easier than that corner suggests it can be, and that is fantastic to see. And Arnold is just keeping Tech honest ahead of him. In fact, he's just made him make a little mistake and got himself another time penalty. And will Thomas overtake Luki this time into turn 1? Will Casper get Cam? It looks very close. It looks as though he's already got the move done, and yes, there it is, a change for the lead. Casper now leads, Cam in P2, Luki still P3, and of course you can barely pass Luki, and Cam's made a mistake and Arnold's got a penalty, and that's Luki into P2. Now, this race has really come alive.
It has indeed. Cam really struggling on ERS. He's used everything. We've only had like 2 or 3 green flag laps since the restart, and he's all out of ERS as Cam. He's got less than 10% yet again, trying to defend, and he had nothing on the run down towards turn 1. Easy overtake for Casper with the airspeed of DRS and the use of overtake. Luki took advantage of the slide of Cam at the exit of turn 2 and up to P2. Now has got an opportunity to hunt down Casper for essentially net P1 and the win.
Yes, definitely. And Cam gets all out of shape again, and that's another penalty down. I think Cam's race has just possibly run its course, although he could well come back into it in about 8 or so laps time, because he will have to switch to the soft at some point. You might as well do it now or in the next couple of laps anyway, for my money. But Casper's now comfortably in the lead with the fastest lap of the race, 1:17.008. You saw there. That's pretty rapid at this point, and Luki was nowhere to make a move, but Cam and Tom are going side by side, and that could only help Luki out. Cam's on the grass. Now, is he going to get over? He has. Arnold's got into 5th place. Cam has gone down to 6th. A lap ago he was leading, and now he's in P6. This is incredible stuff.
Yeah, I think those tyres are starting to wear a little bit compared to everyone around. 13 laps has been on these tyres. Yes, there's been a couple of safety cars to help nurture them, but they are very worn compared to the likes of Luki, Thomas, Tech 31 and Arnold. Yeah, it was a little bit out of shape out of turn 2. That invited, out of shape at turn 1, invited Tech to go up the inside at turn 2. Maybe wasn't the most cleanest move up the inside, but I don't think any damage was made. It sort of forced Cam off the track, gifting Arnold that P5, but Cam should be looking at a pit stop anytime soon for a fresh set of softs.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think I would have made it last lap, because I know what the tyres can do, and they're certainly struggling to hang on, but he's gone round again, and that could be a colossal mistake, but there's a reason why I'm in the box for this tier and he's out there racing, but definitely needs to consider changing to soft tyres, because they will go to the end now with lighter cars and more rubber on the track. It won't be an issue unless you start spinning, which I don't think he's in danger of with the control he's showed so far, but he's got way too many penalties and his tyres are struggling. I think it depends on how quickly the car behind can start to catch, because if he's cutting 1 to 2 seconds a lap, Cam's going to be in the pits, no doubt about that. Yeah.
They're not seem to be working together, these front two. With Thomas overtaking Luki into turn 1 again, they're not closing in on Casper. They're sort of compromising themselves through turn 1 and 2. Even though they're going to have DRS, Casper's really got the pace. Quick mention that Casper did get a podium here last time we raced at Imola, which was last season in precision. Casper got P2, so he has the pace, and at the moment he has no penalties either, so it looks like he's got at least 4-second advantage on, I think, Luki, who's got the least amount of penalties inside that top 5.
Yes, Thomas and Luki are tied on 3 seconds each, so it's essentially a race between those two. Tech has 9, Arnott has 6, Cam has 9, Rich doesn't have any, so he could well be a factor later on in this race. And Scorpion is still out there. He's in P8. He's got a few penalties, but he's getting the experience and just trying to get the miles under the clock, which is never a bad thing. But yeah, you could say Casper's comfortable here, and knowing that the drivers behind you as your direct threat have more penalties than you, that just makes it so much easier, I think, to defend the lead.
Yeah, Casper also coming off some good results in some other leagues. He got a win yesterday in Monaco, so he's going to have high confidence, as Tomo using a lot of curb there on the exit of the upper right-hander. Very tricky.
Yeah, you need to be careful with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be losing the back end, as we've already seen a lot of drivers do. But gap's starting to spread out between the top 5 and the rest of the field. Cam K should box. He shouldn't lose too much time. He'll probably drop down to P7 based on the gaps between 7th and 8th. But yeah, this fight for second is not over yet. 8 laps to go. Casper seems to be running away with it at the moment. They can't seem to get within that 1 second window. But the drivers behind are going to be stuck in a DRS train. Arnaud looking for a move up the inside of Tech. Casper, Cam K is finally in the pits for fresh set of softs on, Scorpion as well. So those drivers are going to be fighting for fastest lap at the end.
Yep, certainly. Right, yeah, it's a race on for Cam as far as he's concerned. With, unfortunately for him, the virtual safety car didn't come out, so that didn't help. The safety car wasn't out either, so this is basically for Pride now. If he can put the hammer down, he may be able to pressurise Rich towards the end of the race, but I think any one of the top 5 now, given the order they're in, could still technically win this race. Well, Casper's probably the favourite with no penalties, but then 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th could be any order, and Tech's just got another penalty there, so that certainly helps out Arnold.
It does indeed, yeah. It's essentially a free position for Arnold now, because Tech's going to have 12 seconds worth of penalties. Arnold's got 6, so just has to stay within 6 seconds of the car ahead and will get a free position. However, I'm just noting as well that the tyre life between Casper and Tomo, we don't have TAS to perfectly tell us what the tyre differences are like, but 15 laps on those mediums, under 3 or 4 laps of safety car, they're going to be looking a little bit dead towards the end, as Lukey has just made the position on Tomo. Or was he defending?
I think he was defending. I think he was ahead anyway. But yeah, you just saw with the... Oh no, I've done it again. Arnold drowned.
Were you going to mention his name? Were you just about to mention Arnold? Oh no.
I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, boys. I don't mean to do this. Maybe I'll start picking drivers I don't like, which is impossible. I like everyone.
Impossible,
They're
yeah. There's no reason to be disliking specific drivers. Unless they do something that's out of order, there's no reason to be spreading hate. It's all love here in one hub.
Of course not. It's brilliant here. And yeah, that was just a little silly comment for people that appreciate that kind of thing in the chat. There's a couple of people that would do that. But yeah, no, it's all goal for Casper at the moment, but it's anybody's ball game for positions behind him. And yeah, I think Casper's tyres remind me of Cam's a few laps ago when they started to struggle, but I think Casper's looked after them a little bit better in the earlier stages, so I think he's possibly got a little bit longer for them to run, and he's got 6 or 7 laps left, and that was me doing some quick maths there. You're welcome. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the end of this race, but we still have Casper in the lead on lap 26 here in the Precision tier in One Hub Racing.
Yeah, and now it's going to get to crunch time for these drivers, because Lukey now is in the DRS of Casper. That stops Tomo essentially getting the better run out of the final corner and the better straight line speed down towards turn 1. It sort of nullifies it. The slipstream is fairly even. Straight line speed should be fairly even because of DRS open. They've both got a similar amount of ERS as well. Lukey's looking at about 18-19%, and Tomo's at 24-25 as he loses the back end out of the chicane. Tech Racing still in this, but those penalties are really going to cost him at fighting for this podium. It's going to be between these front 3. Maybe Tech could help his teammate out and show that there's going to be some great teamwork in the Alfa Romeo garage this season, but this could be a change for the lead, and it's going to be between Lukey and Casper. He could be swamped by not only one but two drivers. Here comes Lukey to the outside. He's going to get it done, but he's got no ERS to defend. Can Tomer get it? Casper as well into turn 1. He can't. Change to the lead though. Lukey up to P1, and finally can stretch his legs away and got a car between himself and Tomer.
Yep, that's definitely a great point you've made about the two alphas working together, possibly to show their intent for the Constructors' Championship. And there's a yellow flag. I think that might be Arnold having a miserable time out there. It's finally come to an end. He's retired in the pit lane. Bless him. He hasn't been well, and he had a good run of pace early in the Grand Prix, but the longer we went, the more he was starting to struggle towards the end. So, unfortunately for him, I hope he's fighting fit for next week, because I think he can do some good things around Japan. But yeah, back to this battle at the front. The Alpha's definitely... I'm wondering if Casper's going to slow down Tomer and see if Tech can do anything to slow down Lukey and give Alpha a little bit of fun out there in the final few laps. We are on lap 27, so there's not much room to do that, but it's possible.
It is possible, but what Casper's going to have to try and do is as long as he stays within that 1 second of Lukey's not going to be able to stretch that 3 seconds, but Lukey going defensive as he does, and he has done to Tomer, where he's not going to spook Casper. He gets the inside line, gets the position before turn 1 braking, and back into the lead for Casper. No EOS for Lukey, so he needs to do some harvesting if he wants to try and get the lead and then extend the gap. As Casper runs wide, he's going to have to be very careful as Casper. It might be 1 or 2 warnings away, it might be even 1 warning away from a penalty, and if he does get a penalty, it's game on for the win between himself, Lukey and Tomer.
Yeah, absolutely, and I like what you did with it. You got and spook Casper, that's brilliant. Well done.
I didn't read, that was not intentional. That is not intentional, it just works.
Brilliant. It did work, but this is quite a fascinating race at the front, and like you say, Rich hasn't got any penalties. Could he potentially work himself into... Oh, dear. He's the only one without penalties now, is Rich, and could he work himself into a possible podium position? I don't think the wins are going to happen for Rich today, but with the penalties that Tech has and Tomer and the amount they're battling, perhaps he could well sneak a podium today. We'll see if he's got the pace to do that, but this is going to be Lukey and Casper Part 2, and Tomer versus Lukey and Casper Part 4. I think it's going to happen. Lukey into the lead, Casper defending from Tomer, and you're as you were a couple of laps ago, and this, frankly, is incredible. And Lukey gets a penalty in defending. Oh dear.
That's not good. Casper picked one up, made it even Stevens across the top 3, but Lukey now throws away any opportunity of getting the victory. Casper's probably on a fresh slate for water track limits, and Tomer could be a few warnings away, maybe 1, but he's still within capabilities of snatching the win. It looks to be between Casper and Tomer now for P1.
It certainly does, but of course, yeah, it's... Let me just check who's got the more penalties there. Yeah, it's 3 seconds each for Casper and Tomer, and 6 seconds for Lukey, so it's definitely looks to be between those two for the win, unless something strange happens in the next couple of laps, and this is Zimmer, so that could well happen. I think it's definitely between Casper and Tomer for the win, but Lukey should still get a podium, but don't count out Rich either, as he's clean.
Yeah, the penalties could come into fruition at the end. So Casper back on to regain the lead on Lukey. Will Lukey lose 2 positions in 1 down towards turn 1? It looks like he's going to lose 2 positions in 1 straight, and now this is where Lukey's going to have to try and fight back. He's got that penalty, doesn't want to become doesn't want to be too much of a nuisance, doesn't really want to force another driver off to get them a penalty. Could work, but Casper now has got that gap to 8/10, not quite stretching it out, but Tomer needed to get by, because I think if he was stuck behind Lukey for another lap, I don't think he would have been able to get anywhere near Casper.
No, that's a good point, because he's slightly quicker and definitely...
Oh, the McLaren's round and the exit of the uphill right-hander, and that is game over for Tomer. These commentators' curses are not going well, but it's just pre-season. We can get them out of the way. But that's not going to be nice for Tomer to see Or here, as he comes back on track, luckily ghosting. Rich now up to P4, and if he stays within 12 seconds of Tech, could snatch a podium. It's currently 12.3, needs to find a little bit more time, and could be the surprise package on the podium.
Yeah, I was literally about to mention before the McLaren got out of shape that Rich is doing quite well to get the gap into Tech. He was 11.7 at time of the McLaren's incident, so he's definitely got the pace there to keep in and around the window. He's certainly going to be close for the final step of the podium, but I think we know there's a couple of laps left, but it's looking good for Casper to win the pre-season here in One Hub Racing. But it's not over yet, and Lukey, as we know, likes turn one to do his overtaking.
He does, but he's fallen out of that 1 second window. With that mistake from Thomas, he loses that benefit of DRS, and there's no ERS charged up in that Williams. It looks like Casper's got enough in the tank to keep it going, although, as Casper made a mistake, he's lost a second. Has he run out of fuel? I don't know. He's making it, unless he's making this very interesting for us. Here, it runs a little bit wide, doesn't want to be picking up another penalty because you could be throwing the win out. You've got a second bite of the cherry here, Casper, for the win, but maybe he just wants to make it interesting as they head round the final couple of corners for the penultimate time, as we head down the main straight for the final time to start lap 32 out of 32. It's between Casper and Lukey. Nothing can separate them on the run down towards turn one, but it's going to be DRS for Lukey. Will he get another overtake down towards turn one? It's going to be side by side between the two. Space is left between the two of them. Lukey doing what he does best on the exit of turn two, holds position, and will take the position of P1 on track for now. But Casper sitting pretty with that extra penalty in hand is going to take home this pre-season win here in Imola.
Yeah, it's looking good for him, but I'm just keeping an eye on Rich, who's very momentarily inside the 12-second window there to Tech, but he's just dipped below it again as his ERS is a little bit on the low side, but I think he's going to try and do something through the final few corners. But at the moment, Tech is a lucky boy that he's still looking odds on to get this podium, but the race win is not in the bag yet. It's looking good, but still got about half a lap to go, maybe a little bit less than that actually, as he's coming into the final sequence of corners. He's going to try and win on track. There could be contact and that could ruin it for both of them, but they've kept it very clean as they have done for the previous 31 laps around this track. But there you go, Casper has won the pre-season race here at Imola. And has Rich done enough? I don't think he has. He's given it a brave effort. A Scorpion decides he wants the fastest lap, which is fair enough. Personal pride, he kept going, and that's all you want to see. But Rich does not quite have enough. Less than half a second off the podium. What a race.
Fantastic race to kick off this season of One Hub here in Precision. And it's only pre-season, but I'm already excited for the races to come. If it's going to be like this for the rest of the season, I'm all for it.
Yes, I was going to say, if we're going to have 10 more races like this for the rest of the season, it's going to be quite a memorable season. And look at him giving out free copies of the game. Well done. Maybe the virtual crowd can play as him today. You know, yeah. It's incredible. But yeah, what a race. And I will leave you to do the official rundown of the provisional official standings because it's pre-season, and then we will get to drivers of the day.
Yeah, we've got to choose a driver a day each. Not many drivers to choose from, considering we started off with 10. There is your classification for this ERT Imola Grand Prix here in pre-season. Casper takes victory ahead of Lukey in the Williams. Casper's teammate Tech holding off onto the podium. Did pick up quite a few penalties, so might need to work on that for the rest of the season if he wants to stay consistent and secure some more podiums that will count towards getting a constructor's title if these two alphas keep it in form. Rich coming home with P4, the only driver that finished the race not to get a penalty. Great drive from him. Thomas with that mistake at the end cost him a chance to try and snatch the win. He comes home in P5. Prospect for a future champion there. Cam K, strategic call, didn't really play out, starting on mediums. That safety car ruined his second stint on the mediums. Couldn't pit, didn't want to go on hards, had to go softs at the end. Scorpion sticking it out for P7, showing that even if you're dead last, even if you're a lap down, all it takes is for the drivers ahead to crash or make a mistake, and you're getting yourself some 3 points. If that was the case for round 1, Arnaud, a little bit under the weather. DNF retired in the pits. Hopefully he feels better next week. Sam, another driver to look out for. He had some great pace at the start. A little mistake early on caused him to DNF. And White Fountain, even though he's one of the most experienced drivers on the grid, showing a few cobwebs there in that AlphaTauri. But this is only pre-season. And now let's nominate ourselves some drivers of the day. You can go first, Mr. Backy. You can choose your driver.
It's great to do this, and there's, like you said, there's only 10 drivers, so there's not many that finished that we could choose. But I'm going to go with the only driver that didn't get any on-track penalties today, and that is Mr. Rich there in P4. And the question I want to ask him is, keeping it clean is always good, but did you think today would result in a possible podium, or were you just surprised as anyone that you almost got it at the end?
It's a great question. To be fair, this is the reason why I asked you first, because I was going to choose Rich myself. But I do have my driver day nomination. It will be for Casper. He did make the pitting under safety car work. He shouldn't have made that extra stop because of his own mistake, but he recovered, served the 5 seconds, and managed to come away with P1, keeping it within the limits just about. He did have a little scare, but manages to hold on to P1. My question for you, Casper, is, would you consider yourself a championship contender after this pre-season race has unfolded? So, yeah. A lot of drivers that have got potential here to be taking wins, taking podiums. I'm just looking forward to the season ahead.
Yeah, there's going to be so many battles for the lead. I think we're going to be very spoiled here in the precision tier, but I think, what a great pre-season to have. I know 10 cars isn't much to write home about, but honestly, I think some of the racing is probably just as good as some races that have 20 cars in it. So that was credit to each and every driver out there, especially those that weren't quite with it today for whatever reason, whether White Fountain seemed to struggle. Sam had great pace, as he said at the beginning, made one mistake and ended up in the wall. And, you had Scorpion quick at the end there. So, yeah, definitely a lot of factors to consider next week.
Yeah, and next week we will be heading to Suzuka in Japan. It kept it dry here in Imola, and Japan is known for its mixed conditions. Could that throw a spanner in the works for round 1? We'll be live here on Twitch next week, same time, same place. Me and Matt will be back again to give you round 1, and hopefully we get all 20 drivers on the grid, and we'll be able to confirm who is partnered with who for the coming races, and who will be looking to fight for that coveted One Hub Season 20 Constructors Champion and Season 20 Drivers Championship. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to check out and all the Discord information in Discord and on Twitter. I'm sure we're still live for Pinnacle on YouTube. Go switch over to that, and I'm sure there's some great racing between the best of the best drivers. If they're not in this tier, they're definitely in that tier, and should show some great racing there for the Pinnacle drivers. I've been your commentator. It's been a pleasure commentating with you, Mackie, and I look forward to the rest of the season with you.
It's been fun. See you next week.
See you next week.